Hello everybody, welcome to the show. Let the madness begin. LTMB live with your host Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White.
Thank you everybody for being here. We're gonna have a good show for you today. Got a lot of things to discuss. We'll hold off for about a few seconds, let some people join the stream so that they're so they can get all the information. Who's in here? Anybody? What's up, Facebook? How's everybody doing today? Tonight, what's going on with everybody? Let us know if there's any technical issues. Can you hear us fine?
Yeah, let us know if anybody's has joined on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up, a smiley face, a yep, or something.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know whether y'all can hear us.
YouTube. What's up, Redneck Economics? Nala, what's going on? Terror Break.
What's up?
Music, all right, sounding
what
good
up,
here.
Jacqueline?
Oh,
what's up? Teresa.
What the heck? All right, there we go.
Teresa, Jacqueline, Cordell.
What's up, man?
What's up, Pat?
Pat, loud and clear.
Eskimo friend.
What's up, Bill? Angela, Thurman. How's everybody doing tonight? What's up, D?
Yo, you ain't said, but D, you just said it right there. Another day of being shell shocked by the government. That's man, that's so true right now, man.
Boy. Yeah, so like I said, we got a lot to talk about. Grandma Christine is here. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We're gonna be talking about some taxes. We're talking about well, both in the Senate and in the House tax reform. We have
it's boring stuff, but very important boring stuff.
There's some
it's boring, but it's important boring stuff that will definitely turn some heads.
We're gonna talk a little bit about Yemen, the war going on over there, how Saudi Arabia's been just chaos over there, and how we have helped this effort, but in the House there's an effort to I guess create some clarity on the matter. The Keystone pipeline, we're going to talk about that a little bit.
We could talk about something in conjunction with that too.
Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to. Yeah, very connected
or unconnected. Or it's
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Literally, it's literally
an interesting decision is coming up in a few days, and so we're gonna talk about that. All right, but first, to begin the show, we're gonna talk about sexual assault. 2017, man, it's become out the perverts, out the sexual abusers, out the sexual predators.
Yes, it's essentially something that we can't run away from because there's booty bandits abound. Booty bandits abound,
and they are being, like I said, they're being outed at a magnificent rate.
And the thing is, I think to me, I think, unfortunately, I don't like it being considered a scandal. I don't like this being called a scandal. You know why I don't like it being called a scandal? Because when you talk about scandals, it's very frivolous. This has to do with like abuse of power. Like, this is not about sexual harassment. It's not just about sexual assault. This is about abuse of power. This is about
power, influence, clout. This is about predators. Like I said, back in the day, it wasn't talked about. Everybody knew it was happening, and really today everybody knew it was happening too. But still, it's been so hush-hush. But like I said, 2017, we're in a new environment, and people are coming out. So the first case we're going to talk about is another woman. Actually, there have been two more women. There have been two more women that have accused former President George H.W. Bush with sexual assault. The first woman, she shared her news with Democracy Now! We didn't even talk about this. I don't know if you saw it, but yeah, it was a woman. She was a airline stewardess, and he had grabbed her and put his hand around her waist. Grabbed her booty, wouldn't let her go. That case, I don't know if her name was released, but like I said, she shared her story with Democracy Now! and I'm not sure exactly the time period this happened in. Now, the second woman, she has not released her name. She didn't want her name released just because she didn't want all the attention. But she's, well, on CNN, she's been named like the Michigan woman. So she's from Michigan. And this is a picture of her and her father and George H.W. Bush back in 1992. So on YouTube, they'll be able to see this. But George Bush is in the middle, and she says that during this picture, he is squeezing her booty.
Now, when did you say this was during?
This was 1992.
No. So he's not in the wheelchair there.
He's not in the wheelchair.
Now, what was their explanation about the initial allegations?
The explanation,
not his allegation, but from his.
Well, of course, you know, they said, "Oh, they're sorry."
Those who are in control of his public image as a public persona,
right? They said that he's in a wheelchair, you know, and when he reaches around to grab somebody for a picture, his arm falls down, and you know, just to make light of the issue, he gives the woman a good squeeze on the cheek, and you know, tells a little joke.
But this is not the case in those pictures. But
no,
see,
he's like 93 years old right now.
I mean, think about it. If he's engaging in that type of activity in his 80s and in 90s, when he's in a wheelchair, kind of what would make you think he wasn't engaging in the same activity when he was younger? You know, and more rambunctious, probably felt more powerful as a person. Why would people think that somehow this is an activity he just picked up when he, you know, started becoming decrepit? You know what I'm saying?
And another thing we need to point out too is that we talked about what year it was. It was 1992. So again, he wasn't in the wheelchair back then, but also what he was
running.
No, he was the current
that's
president,
right,
running for re-election. This was at a fundraiser in Michigan for his re-election campaign. And she said that she didn't believe, she doesn't believe anybody else saw this event. Yeah, there were Secret Service agents around, but like I said, she doesn't think anybody saw it. And at the time, she rationalized it as like they were coming together closer for the picture, and she rationalized it as him doing it by accident, as you know, they were kind of squeezing up together, and he just so happened to get her on the buttocks and squeeze her cheeks. Like I said, she rationalized it, and she said it was probably just an accident.
And you know why she probably rationalized it as it being just an accident? Because she probably didn't want to be a part of a big controversy over when somebody is running for re-election. She probably she would have probably been like most likely castigated.
This is 2017. She still doesn't want to.
She doesn't want her name out there. So at that time, she would have probably been castigated most likely, and it would have just. Even if the allegations, you know, are completely true, it would have, and it's a shame that it would look bad on her part,
right,
as a victim. It would look bad on her part because it would be seen as some sort of, it's just somebody trying to set up a roadblock to prevent, you know, his re-election. That's what it'll have been presented as.
Exactly. She wouldn't have been believed, probably. I mean, and that's sad, man. And that's what happens when, that's what happens when women have these stories and they feel like they can't come forward. The reason why we're seeing so many women coming forward now is because there's so many women, and it's been a snowball effect. But when it's like one of them coming out against one man and they feel like they're alone, then again, like you said, they feel like they're not going to be believed. There's going to be this assault campaign trying to assault their character, their credibility, anything they may have done in the past. So again, they stay silent for years and years and years until there's the environment that will, you know, I guess prompt them or will afford them the opportunity to feel safe enough to say that I can share my story and not feel afraid of public backlash or anybody trying to assault my character and my image or anything like that. So,
but see, like, I don't think that is an obvious, I guess, pathway to go down. Like, people can easily go down the other pathway too. Like, we can easily sit up here and say, well, these cases are snowballing, and somebody in the comments said winter is coming, but these cases are snowballing because there's more attention being placed on it. There's more of a, what we would call like a class action effort right now, because people are feeling more comfortable.
Right.
So things are being uncovered right now because that's just kind of, I wouldn't call it a trend, but I call it, that's the reality.
Yeah.
People can easily say, this is just a distraction. This is another distraction. Because people can easily go that route, and I have seen people go that route. So why is it easy for you to go the other route? Just to say that this is not just a trending topic, but this is a necessary kind of highlighting of an important issue that needs to be addressed and needs to be dealt with, because it really hasn't before. It's been kind of
not to this degree.
Not to this degree. It's always been like an undercurrent of this kind of like an undercurrent of this problem we've had, this dysfunction, but it's never been something that has been put out in the open. And I don't think we can actually deal with something, no matter what it is, until it gets put out in the open. Why is it easy for you to go that route and not the other route? Like a lot of people have gone, oh, this is just another distraction, you know, from our politics. You know what I'm saying? Why is it?
Well, let's get to the probably one of the biggest stories of the day. Of course, surrounding sexual assault, sexual abuse, sexual misconduct, and that's about Senator Al Franken from Minnesota. So he has been accused of sexual assault, and the accuser's name is Leanne Tweeden. Now, she's a model. She's a sports broadcaster. She has been for years. Currently, she works for a Los Angeles radio station called KABC. She works as a morning news anchor. And she detailed an account that happened years ago, back in 2006, during a USO tour. And this was her 9th USO tour that she was on. And basically, the account goes as this. They were preparing a skit for the troops. And I guess the crowd is always young and male, and the skits are always very sexual. He has a lot of sexual innuendo in the skits. So Al Franken had wrote into the skit something about where he came at her and kissed her. And so she kind of got the idea, okay, I see what he's trying to do. He just wants to kiss me. So then I believe it was before the skit actually took place, Al Franken approached her and said, well, we need to rehearse the kiss. And she was like, nah, like, we really don't need to rehearse the kiss. This is not SNL. We don't have to do that. And he kept kind of badgering her about it, kept saying that, this is really what we need to do. We need to rehearse the kiss. And so she kind of begrudgingly said, okay. So they started rehearsing, and it came up to the moment where he was gonna kiss her, and he grabbed her by the back of the neck, pulled her in, kissed her, and shoved his tongue down her mouth. So at this point, she immediately pushes him away, and she told him that if he ever did it again, that she wouldn't be so nice about it. She also said, I walked away. All I could think about was getting to a bathroom as fast as possible to rinse the taste of him out of my mouth. I felt disgusted and violated. So she chose to go ahead with the USO tour. I mean, she didn't say anything about this. She went ahead and did the skit. There's been no word about if they actually kissed on the stage, though. I'm not sure if that happened or not. But beforehand, before this assault took place, she said that she could probably just get out of it by, moving her head away or putting her hand over his mouth or something like that to, draw a laugh or something. But anyway, she didn't feel like she wanted to, I guess, make us think about it at the time, because this was a time for the troops, and she wanted them to, I guess, forget where they were just for a few moments. So like I said, the tour continued. Now, this wasn't the only case or the only instance where she felt violated. So coming back from the tour, they were on a cargo plane, and there was a picture taken. Al Franken had somebody take a picture of him seemingly putting his hands over her breast, and this was the picture. And so she didn't know that this picture was being taken. She was asleep. It wasn't until she got home and saw all the photos that were taken that she discovered this picture. So after discovering this picture, she says in her post today, she said, "You knew exactly what you were doing. You forcibly kissed me without my consent, grabbed my breasts while I was sleeping, and had someone take a photo of you doing it, knowing I would see it later and be ashamed." So if anybody hasn't read her full statement about what happened, I would suggest that you do take a look at it. It's very powerful, actually, to see her words. But she said that she felt, I guess, encouraged to step forward after seeing the hearing that was just a few days ago in Congress, where Representative Jackie Spire, she talked about in Congress how on the Hill sexual assault, sexual harassment is rampant, and she said that harassers have propositioned themselves to staff members by asking, "Are you going to be a good girl?" Some have exposed their genitals to victims. Others grab victims by their private parts on the House floor.
See, that's what I'm saying. To me, I don't understand why it's so hard for people to believe. It's easy for me to believe.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's why I put it out there. Why is it so easy for you to believe? Because we already know this is a part of kind of, I guess it kind of runs in line with how this country operates. Not just, I wouldn't say how men operate, because those two things are definitely intertwined.
Well, men are everywhere.
Exactly.
Men are everywhere.
That's why I'm saying it's like, I can't just say it's about power and it's about men.
Right.
I think it's about both, because those two things are intertwined.
Right.
And like I said, this is essentially abuse of power, and we talk about it every day. We talk about it every day, whether it be on social media, whether it's show, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We always are bringing into question about the abuse of power of this country. Now, who's at the control of this country? And who's been at the control of this country for the vast majority of its history?
So it's been men.
Men.
Yeah.
So why is it so surprising? That's why I say it's easy. It's easy to just go ahead and say, yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
It does. Now, for his part, Al Franken, he says he made kind of two different statements today. First he said, "I certainly don't remember the rehearsals for the skit in the same way, but I send my sincerest apologies to Leanne. As to the photo, it was clearly intended to be funny, but wasn't. I shouldn't have done it." Now, after that initial statement got out there, it really didn't rub people the right way. And of course, like I said, noticing the time that we're in, there was a lot of backlash towards him. So he made another statement. He put out another statement afterwards. And in that one, I guess he was trying to be a little more extensive in his words, a little bit more sorrowful. He said, "I don't know what was in my head when I took that picture, and it doesn't matter. There's no excuse. I look at it now and I feel disgusted with myself. It isn't funny. It's completely inappropriate. It's obvious how Leanne would feel violated by that picture. And what's more, I can see how millions of other women would feel violated by it. Women who have had similar experiences in their own lives. Women who fear having those experiences. Women who look up to me. Women who have counted on me."
On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you grade that response?
I don't know. Like I said, it's a more appropriate response than that first one.
All right.
So I give him credit for that, but he should have came out like that at the beginning. So it's still like, I'm gonna say what you don't like, ho hum. It's still ho hum to me. But then later on in his second statement, he doubled down on saying that he still does not remember the kissing incident the same way as Leanne, and he also called for an ethics investigation, I guess, into his conduct in the Senate, and that he would be totally open to it and forthcoming. I don't actually have a hard time believing both could be true. I don't have a hard time believing that her account is true and he doesn't remember. I don't think that's always far-fetched, because if you think about how we interact and engage with the world, we're not completely aware all the time, whether it be our good sides, our good traits, and our bad traits. So I can see if this is like I would say a little part of who he is, and this is how he just kind of engages like with, I guess, women on the set. If that's just normal to him, I can see how he'd be like, "Oh, I don't remember it."
I can see that, like, because you don't remember it because that's just you doing you.
Yeah,
it's just normal for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's this is one of the biggest news stories of the day, and it's funny. Roy Moore wanted to weigh in on it too, and he was mad that Mitch McConnell didn't have the same response as he did concerning his allegation. I guess he wants this, it's like, this isn't the same situation. We're not going to equate the two situations now.
Okay.
What Al Franken did was totally reprehensible, but still, we're not going to say like.
So you're saying there's gradations to all this, and
of course
it needs to be confronted based on like kind of like each situation.
Yeah, it does.
Even though it needs to be a global conversation about all types of abuse of power, right, especially with sexual harassment, it's still important for us to add nuance to it. Okay.
And then Roy Moore, man, shut your mouth straight up, because there's multiple accounts from you,
and he's not he is not the one.
You are not the one to be talking about. You like Al Franken needs to face the same thing. No, just be quiet. Be quiet over there. Don't say anything. But. I did want to talk about the Capitol Hill. Now, there's been talk about how there's been $15 million that has been dished out to, I guess, claimants in Congress. And it doesn't have to, and it's not just sexual harassment, sexual abuse, or anything like that. It could be anything about discrimination. It could be about anything. But from 97 to 2016, it says $15 million has been paid out to victims through the Office of Compliance. So they don't know, or it hasn't been revealed, I guess, just yet, how much of that money is because of sexual assault or sexual harassment or anything like that. But like I said, yeah, it's rampant everywhere that men are everywhere. So of course it's going to be rampant in Congress as well. So at this point, like, I feel like I have to say something. Men, you're making us look bad. Straight up, you're making us look bad at this point. Like, the picture that Al Franken took, okay, there's been some, I read an article, there's been some talk about if he actually touched her breast or not. Now, he hasn't said that, no, I didn't. So to me, I don't believe he deserves the benefit of the doubt that he didn't. But anyway, he's a grown man taking this type of picture. Now, maybe if you were 14 years old, 15 years old, we know boys do ridiculous stuff, and of course boys are going to do ridiculous stuff to females, right? They're going to be funny, I touched the breast or something like that. That's I mean, it's still wrong, but still, it's immature stuff. This is a grown man. How do you believe that this is funny?
But actually, I can go further than that, because in this case, it wasn't even just about Al Franken. It was what the entire event or skit was based on, like some very immature sexual innuendo stuff.
Right.
So it was like, it wasn't even just about Al Franken. It was about an atmosphere that's kind of set up to ingratiate this kind of male sexual drive.
No doubt.
So it's even bigger than Al Franken. And I'm like, well, damn, he was a grown-ass man.
He was.
Not only a grown-ass man, but essentially doing non-grown-ass male humor.
Yeah. Like, but see, if the USO tour is always about that, you always see some sexual innuendo. It's fine if the female, the females that are on stage that are participating, if they're fine with it, then okay. I mean, it's joking, it's comedic,
right.
Fine. But they're on the plane ride home. You decide to take this picture while she's sleeping. Now, you knew that she had a problem. Well, I don't know. Well, he says he doesn't remember it the same way. But according to her, she pushed you away pretty hard and said, don't do that again. So if that's true, you knew that she had a problem with what you were, with what you were doing. But it didn't matter. You still took a picture that was completely inappropriate. Like, this isn't immaturity. These aren't mistakes. These are decisions. This is bullying. This is sexual abuse.
It's kind of like your boy Louis C.K. talking about he thought it was okay at the time, which was bullshit, because it's not like he's 13.
like I said, this ain't immature stuff, man. These are grown men thinking that whatever they do is gonna get by without
and the thing,
anybody pushing back on it. And
to add what you said about, yes, this kind of what is the theme of certain skits and certain events like that are about, like, sexual innuendo, but we still kind of need to address who is in control of writing these scripts in the first place.
Yeah, and that was Al Franken.
You know what I'm saying? So we can say all we want. Well, there's female participation, there's voluntary,
but the females have put it in there.
Exactly, that's my point. Like, who is in control of writing these scripts? True. And so that's important too.
True.
You know what I mean? And like you said, Al Franken was. So I was like, so you can use it. You can see, that's what I'm saying. Like he can. It allows him to, I guess, use this opportunity to write something in to fulfill his own sexual needs.
Exactly. And you know that as a woman, you read this and you're like,
I know if I was 14 or 15, I'd be writing all kind of stuff in there. If I was 13, I'm like, oh, man,
of course,
tongue slap her down, slap her butt. Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's boyish stuff. Of course, that's adolescence. That's a teenage boy for you. This is a grown ass man. Inappropriate behavior, and we'll see what happens. Because a lot of celebrities are calling for him to resign, get up out of there. They want somebody else because you can't possibly represent the female constituents in Minnesota. That's what they're saying. Of course, conservatives are saying, same rules apply. You need to get up out of there too.
But see, I don't see. I kind of caution against that because I know how our politics work, and I know how we kind of like to cherry pick things to make ourselves feel better and be eventful.
Right.
I honestly don't even think it's appropriate to talk about it as if it's some sort of new revelation, as if this country is not birthed in that same type of debauchery, that same type of savagery, and as far as how they treated the natives when they came over here, you know what I'm saying, or how plantation owners treated their slaves. We have a history of this stuff, and if we don't address that, sometimes I think that we can gloss over.
That's exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Like, the stuff that you're talking about, of course, is relevant, but we don't talk about that. This we don't even really talk about. This is kind of new. That it's like we're in a new era to where it's like every day now something's coming out. So that it is.
I hope that
it feels like it's more.
I hope that it prompts us to kind of like kind of reflect back and kind of like where it comes from, and not try to deal with this in tunnel vision like it's some sort of like current problem, like it's just sprung up. Like, no, this is like this kind of the seat of power in this country has a very rich foundation. Right. Yeah.
I mean,
of
like
abusing people sexually and exploiting people sexually.
Yeah. We'll see where this goes. I don't know if I would go so far as to say that he should, step down. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But I will say, if he does step down, if he is forced to step down, I'm not gonna cry any tears for him. Yeah, because he put this on himself.
And then my thing is, like, where do we think whoever's the next person up? Like, I think we're so quick to think that it is isolated that we think the next person up is not going to have the same problem. That's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
we'll see. But that's what we have for the first segment, I guess. And we're going to continue the rest of the show on YouTube, Facebook. Thank you for making it out and watching the first 30. If you would, we have the link to YouTube in the heading. And if you click on that, you'll be taken to the rest of the show. So we'll see you over there. All right. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some taxes. So today, Thursday, the House voted on their version of tax reform and passed it by a vote of 227 to 205. All the Democratic members of the House and 13 Republicans voted against it, but it was not enough to kill it. So it was passed, and now we have to see what the Senate is going to do, because they have their own version as well. But in the House, Donald Trump, he because he's back from his Asia trip now, and he met with House Republicans before the vote, and I guess just to make sure that this thing did pass, just to.
He needs something on his resume.
Yes.
Right now. He needs something on his resume yesterday.
No doubt. But yeah, but you know what was interesting, what came out of that meeting with House Republicans? He talked about welfare reform. See, I'm sorry. Like, sometimes you're gonna have to clarify what welfare you're talking about. Because as soon as you say welfare reform, I'm thinking, okay, like, was he gonna stop, giving handouts to corporations? Like, but that's where my mind goes. You're funny though. You're funny. No, he's not talking about that.
Making corporations pay their fair share of taxes.
Oh no, he's talking about.
That's what he's talking about, right?
He's talking about handouts to poor people.
Handouts.
Yes, that's what he wants done, and of course, that's what Republicans want done as well. And so, you would think this is a funny time to be talking about welfare reform, right? But then, if you think about what this tax reform would actually do to the deficit, then it kind of makes sense, because we're talking about adding this is how they got the vote to be just a majority vote too, I believe, because it only adds $1.4 trillion to the deficit. If it added like 1.5 trillion, I believe that they would have needed some Democratic support, or maybe that, actually that might be the Senate bill, actually. That's actually the Senate bill. Forget that. But in the House, it's still going to add over $1 trillion to the deficit over 10 years. So how do you recoup some of that money?
Welfare reform, because you state that he sees it as some sort of entitlement. Yeah.
That's correct. That's why he's talking about it right now. They're totally fine with adding that much money to the deficit. What they're going to do is try to cut back spending elsewhere. And where are they going to cut back spending? It's not going to be what you suspected when you hear welfare reform. No, it's going to be for poor people. But anyway, well, that's coming around the corner. We're gonna see that soon. But also, so if we move on to the Senate version of tax reform, Senator Ron Johnson, who's a Republican, he said, if they can pass it without me, let them. I'm not going to vote for this tax package. So he is not in agreement with what's happening.
So that's one down.
That's one down.
They need what, three more?
They need three more Republicans to say no, and then it's you can't do it because they got 52. So if 3 say no, then that's it.
So this is pretty early for one to already be down.
Yes, and actually he said this statement Wednesday, right before the vote in the House today. So
actually,
it was bad time.
There might already be 2 more. Actually, it might be already have 3, because I think it's the it's like, what is it?
Susan Collins. Yeah.
And then who's the other one? Because it's New York and.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like I said, it looks like Susan Collins is not with this as well, and of course Ron Johnson is not with this current form. And his gripe is because he believes that the proposed legislation favors corporations more than it does like small businesses, and he's not down with that, because he's talking about pass through income, tax gains, carried interest. You know what prompts my like this? You remember when we talked about Stephen Klubeck? I think it was a couple shows ago, right? He's the wealthy businessman. He's the
Las
founder,
Vegas.
Yeah, he owns or he's the founder of Diamond Resorts in Vegas. And one thing that he keeps saying about tax reform is make it simple. Make it simple. When you're talking about taxes, you're talking about carried interest and deductions, and you're talking about capital gains, pass-through income. It's not simple. It's never going to be simple. It's that way for a reason.
Basically, because how they are amassing all this wealth is not done in a very simple way.
No, it's not.
So how can you construct a kind of a tax code in a simple way?
It's a big sham. Like, anybody that's saying that keep it simple is lying through their teeth. It can't be kept simple. There is no way to keep it simple.
But see, we already know that they're using words that they really don't mean.
Yeah.
So what do you think he means when you know, him or an individual like him say simple?
I think he's just trying to get support. Really, I think he's just trying to get support for. I don't know. I really don't know, man, because it sounds good. Everybody wants their taxes to be done. You know, Paul Ryan keeps talking about, hey, fill your taxes out on a postcard. Ted Cruz says that as well. Taxes are not simple. It's never going to be simple.
It's funny how, like, they will jump through hoops and jump over hurdles, bend themselves in pretzels to kind of construct tax code that extracts money. Yeah. That's fine. That can be complicated like hell. They don't care about that. But when it comes to saving people money, no, it's too difficult. We can't do that.
Right. And on that, now, to the Republicans' narrative is that this is a tax cut for the middle class. That's the way they've been selling it, right? It's a tax cut for the middle class. The standard deduction is going to be doubled. Everybody's getting a tax cut. But what we know and what we've been sharing is that, yeah, you are doubling the standard deduction, but when you're talking about like who's coming out ahead on this tax reform, it's the wealthiest people in the country. It's the corporations.
And whatever tax cuts that like do exist for your middle tax brackets are very minuscule, and they expire.
That's right.
They expire.
So yeah, the Joint Committee on Taxation, the JCT, they said of the Senate tax reform bill that tax cuts for individuals will disappear by 2027. So that's in about 10 years. Poor people would be most would be most negatively impacted by the Senate version of tax reform. Those earning between $20,000 and $30,000 yearly would see their tax burden start rising by 2021. So for a short time, their taxes would be cut, but by 2021, it'll start rising. By the end of this 10 years, by 2027, those making between $20,000 and $30,000 would see an increase of 25.4% in their tax bill.
So the tax bill is going to increase. And what else is in this tax bill that people might lose?
Oh, you talking about you talking about insurance? Talking about insurance, right? Because what did they slip? They slipped in there that they're going to repeal the individual mandate for Obamacare. They slipped that in there. So, and just one more point to make before we go into that. Everyone earning less than $75,000 is going to see their tax burden rise.
And,
everybody,
and they're trying to do it in a gradual way.
Yes.
So I guess the CBO report that comes out, they're not getting killed on that.
See,
so they're trying
taxes.
They're trying to play this shell game. So you know what I'm saying. So they can move these tax cuts around. You know what I'm saying.
But those earning over $100,000, their taxes won't go up. It won't go up too. I mean, it won't go down too much after 10 years. But they still will receive, see a small benefit.
So it's like welfare to the wealthy, build to the middle class. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, so let's talk about this individual mandate being repealed. Okay. So Senator Orrin Hatch from Utah, he said that the JCT's conclusion was the result of the committee assuming that many poor people would not opt to buy health insurance because the individual mandate is gone.
Yeah, because they won't have that credit.
Right. So he says that because of that, he added that people will still retain the opportunity to buy health insurance, and if they did, then those credit subsidies they will be afforded those credit subsidies. So he added that he said, obviously, we have no intention of raising taxes on these families. Senator Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania, he said this is absolutely not a tax increase, and you guys know that. He was responding to Democrats talking about this analysis of the JCT. Now,
but if you get rid of the,
what happens if you get rid
rid of the mandate? If you get rid of the mandate, the insurance rates are going to skyrocket because there's going to be, I guess, no market forces up against the insurance companies that force them to provide an adequate level of insurance.
Right. The healthy people subsidize the sick people, right? If you don't have those healthy people in the market anymore, if you can't force them to take up an insurance plan, then that means you're just going to be left with sick people that need health insurance. Do you really think insurance companies going to be like, oh, we're going to do the right thing by these customers? They really need it, so we're going to keep insurance rates right where they are.
Yeah, and it's not so much mandating insurance. It's about mandating that these insurance company offer comprehensive plans.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. So these companies are not going to be forced to do that anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Of course.
So they can offer like these kind of junk packages for however much they want.
Senator Pat Toomey again, he said, we won't send a payment to the insurance company. It has no effect on them. Like it has no effect on people because they won't send the payment to the insurance company. Like the cost sharing payment. No, that absolutely has an effect.
That's how insurance works.
I don't, like, they're just being intellectually dishonest. Orrin Hatch, he went on, he said, anyone who says that we're hiking taxes on low-income families is misstating the facts. Anyone who says people will see their taxes go up because we're taking away their health insurance is also misstating the facts. No. He's playing loose and fast with the words. See, he can say that because, like, I guess, like, technically, he may be right. Technically. But as a result of those actions, as the result of repealing the individual mandate, yes, poor people that need that insurance, yes, their tax burden will go up, and they won't have insurance, because they won't be able to pay for it.
But their taxes ain't not going up.
Well, it'll go up after a few years. Yeah, but initially, it's going to be a big savings for you. We're going to double the standard deduction. Yay.
And they're going to get rid of it, though.
And then they're going to get rid of it. But what lasts are these deductions for the rich, for the wealthy.
Oh, and they want those to be permanent. They want to write that into law that is permanent.
Now, so we talked about Ron Johnson and we talked about Susan Collins as two Republican senators who may say no way to this Senate version of tax reform. Now, another one that along 2017, all the while in 2017, she's been one that has said, no, you don't have my vote in repealing Obamacare. And that's the Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. So I think when we talked about this before, we surmised that she's probably going to be one that says, well, sorry, you don't have my vote on this tax reform if you're going to include repealing the individual mandate. The Republicans know that, right? They know that about her. So here's how they're trying to solicit her vote. So, drilling in the Alaska National Wildlife Refuge, the ANWR. It's been one of the things that Senator Murkowski has been wanting to do for years. Actually, her father, who, he was long time in politics. That's been his dream as well, but he was never able to get that done. But like I said, she is her father's kid. She wants to do the same thing. She wants to execute more drilling in Alaska,
while at the same time being acknowledging that climate change is real.
So she acknowledges climate change. She acknowledges the role that humans play in climate change, but not enough to where she's like, well, let's hold off on this drilling. No, she wants to drill more.
I think there's there was some serious coordination to kind of get her, because I think there was a she had a meeting with Chinese officials, and that was right before Trump went over there.
Right.
And people need to know that one of the senators from Alaska is backed by the Koch brothers.
The Koch brothers. Yeah.
Koch, my bad. Why do I say Koch brothers though?
It looks like that.
It looks like it. So I just don't think that is a coincidence that she's flipping right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think they're trying to strike a deal with the Chinese to allow fracking.
Right.
In the great nature reserves or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It seems like she's got a lot of strings attached to her right now.
And to just fully explain it, we didn't put the cap on it, but they included this, that drilling will be able to happen in the in Anwar region, in the Alaska National Wildlife Refuge. They included that into the Senate bill, the Senate tax reform bill. So by including that in there, something that has long been a dream of hers, they're hoping that she will say, well, let me see. She's going to have to weigh the different things that are in it. Well, tax reform, maybe she wants it. I don't know her opinion on corporate tax rates. I haven't seen that yet. But like I said, throughout 2017, we have seen that she is not somebody that wants to get rid of Obamacare. But they're giving her a present. They're giving her a gift.
Would you consider this bribery?
Oh, come on, man.
Would you consider this bribery?
Come on, man. That's a little, you think they're really that
callous,
evil?
Is that like a rhetorical question?
Like,
oh, you like playing with the mustache?
Yeah, like you really think like they're that sinister to where they would like bribe somebody to sign off on something?
Well, they've already done that when it came to healthcare. They've already targeted certain representatives from certain states with well-packaged gifts.
You remember the Cassidy Graham bill,
bill, yeah.
And how they were trying to provide more benefits to Alaska, Arizona, I believe it was Kentucky and Maine. It just happened to be the states of the senators, the Republican senators, that was like, nah, we're not going to vote for this. So you think this is just, just adding to the pattern that politicians always, We'll see. I don't know. Like I said, we'll see what's more important to Murkowski, if she was real about not repealing Obamacare, then she wouldn't sign off on this legislation. But like I said, we know that she wants to drill more in Alaska, so what's going to be her priority? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what these Republicans think is going to happen to the economy. Like, do they want to be on the hook? Do they want to be on the hook for this? Because it's definitely not going to create jobs. I'm serious. It's not going to create jobs, because if trickle-down economics didn't work even when our manufacturing base was stronger, what makes them think it's going to work now?
I don't know, man. And like I said, they're being phony with this. We've said this every single time. They're being phony with this legislation because they're saying that it's a cut for the middle class, right? But a huge part of it is to cut taxes on corporations. They do not pay 35% in taxes. They do not pay that rate. The effective rate is 18.6%. Don't let them fool you by saying that, America, the corporations here, pay more than any other industrialized country. It is a fallacy. They are being completely fake with that information. 18.6 is the effective rate. If you reduce it to 20%, the same loopholes that got them to 18.6% is now going to take them to, I don't even know, below 10? I don't even know. Do they really need that much of a tax break when they're already doing so great here in this country,
and
while regular Americans are suffering?
And you know what they're going to do with their money? They're not going to invest that back into their company per se or their staff. They're going to buy back their own stock, and they're going to pay dividends to their shareholders. You know what I'm saying? Because if the livelihood of a CEO depends on the stock, what kind of decisions do you think they'll make? Because it's all about making their company look good on paper. And if they can make their company look good on paper without investing in their staff, or without paying their staff, they're going to do that.
You brought up a very interesting thing. you brought up a very interesting thing, man. So on Tuesday, Gary Cohn, who is President Donald Trump's top economic advisor, he was at the Wall Street Journal's CEO Council meeting. Now, there's video of this. We don't have the video. But a journal editor who was like the host of the event, he asked the crowd of CEOs and top executives, he asked them if their companies plan to invest more money if the tax reform bill passes. In a somewhat surprising scenario, a few of them raised their hands.
But it was like a room full of like 30.
Yeah,
at least 30. At least 30 to 40 of them.
Yeah, it was a pretty decent sized room.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a gallery or anything like that. It wasn't an arena. But it was there was quite a few people in there. And just a few raised their hands and said, yeah, they'll invest more money. Invest in jobs and research and technology and all that. Yeah, we'll do that.
Did you see his reaction?
Yeah.
He was like, what, that's it? Yeah. He was like, dang it, that's it? Like,
and he said, why aren't there more hands being raised?
Why aren't there more hands being raised?
Yeah.
That should tell you something. That should tell us something right there.
Oops.
They just admitted that they're not going to use these tax cuts and these tax breaks they get to reinvest in their company. They admitted that by not raising their hand. This joker should have had like some sort of rehearsal.
I know, right?
He should have had some sort of rehearsal.
Yo, like pregame, right? Everybody, I'm gonna ask a question. And you need to raise your hand when I ask this question, because it's gonna look real bad if we're not in unison here. Because the whole reason why we're doing this tax thing,
because jobs for
the middle class. So you need to do your part and say that, yes, I will invest. But they didn't do that. This is from the Washington Post. A Bank of America Merrill Lynch survey this summer asked over 300 executives at major U.S. corporations what they would do after a tax holiday that would allow them to bring back money held overseas at a low tax rate. The number one response, pay down debt. The second most popular response was stock buybacks, where companies purchased some of their own shares to drive up the price. The third was mergers. Actual investments in new factories and more research were low on the list of plans for how to spend extra money.
So it's all about increasing their gross margin.
Yes. Okay. All about increasing their own profits, man. That's all it is. It is not about doing what's best for the American people. It's not about anybody. It's not about increasing jobs. Look, I've said it so many times, right? I don't really have a problem with capitalism. I don't really have a problem. Like, on the surface, like, if somebody is so innovative, so talented, works so hard that they achieve a status to where whatever they make, whatever they produce, it is in demand. And in demand like nothing else. You know, they become millionaires. They become billionaires. I don't really have a problem with that. Zuckerberg, make all the money you want, man. Facebook is it's a fantastic platform. I have no problem with people making as much money as they can. What I have a problem with is greed. And essentially,
he's getting favors done for him too.
Yes, because see, with that money that they're earning, with all these millions and billions of dollars, like I said, I have no problem with that. But with that money, now they are able to lobby Congress, influence Congress to where what they want, which is very selfish.
You know what?
They want to increase how much they get.
I don't even think we have a Congress anymore. They just might as well just be truthful and just say they're lobbyists. You know what I'm saying? Because how it's like, I think they should just do away with the facade. They're all lobbyists now.
Again, man, I don't think anybody has a problem with wealth. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. What we have a problem with is the system that is in place that encourages greed, that does everything in the name of greed. What the American system should be, what a good system would be, is to have a responsibility to workers, to actually invest in this country, invest in jobs and growth. That's what we should be doing, because again, if you want a strong economy, what do you have to have?
You have to have a strong middle class.
A strong middle class.
Paid, you know, accurately.
Yes.
Compensated accurately. But now what we have is like modern feudalism. I don't know, man. But I think this actually connects to where we started this show. Abuse of power. Yeah. It's a culture. And it's going to filter into everything.
Right. And I think, yeah, and we talked about this, I believe, on the last show too. It's like we have so many different obstacles to overcome. Like, first of all, where do you start? And then where do you go next? You know? Like, we're constantly being assaulted by all of these different things, by all of these different members of Congress or these wealthy people that are constantly putting their finger on the button, constantly pushing us down, suppressing the interest, our interest. So, like I said, where do you go?
Not only suppressing our interest, suppressing our ability to, I guess, seek equity in that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like suppressing our ability to even, you know, raise even questions.
Yeah. And see, and nobody, I don't believe anybody reasonable is talking about, well, whatever he has, I should have.
No, there's
like
nobody.
That millionaire, I should have $1 million. Nobody's saying that.
Nobody's making that argument. I think that's a straw man put out there,
right?
Kind of by shills,
right?
You know what I'm saying, that are out there on behalf of the wealthy class, thinking that they're probably going to, you know, get a piece of that pie too.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I don't believe what people's problems with. Our problem is not with wealth. It is not the idea of wealth. Anybody can go out there and make as much money as they want to, but then if you take that money and you lobby Congress to keep more of it for yourself, so that less of it is actually here for poor people and the people that make up the service industry, the actual workers in the service industry, less of it is here for them. And as a result of that, impacting the quality of life that everybody else can have.
Basically building wealth on the backs of poor people,
right? And
then not compensating them. That's not going to result in anything sustainable. That's not going to result in an economy that can be sustained.
The only way we actually ever change this dynamic is through a massive joint effort of people. I mean, but people are going to have to actually, one, understand what's going on, and two, actually activate themselves to make the change. And that's going to come in a different...
Why? But see, that's the thing. Why... I think on a base level, it's actually not that complicated. So why don't...
No, it's not complicated.
So why don't people understand? Is it because they don't want to understand?
Well, like we've talked about before, we've talked about how, you know, you like talking about how, you know, how the narrative is always like, why are you voting against your own interests? Right? Yeah, we've talked about that. So
we have to determine where those other interests lie first.
Exactly. Okay. So, yeah, something that is more economically beneficial to all of us, like all regular folk that is not making $100,000 a year, or, you know, is a millionaire, just regular middle class people. We could all share the same idea of, you know, how to really make a change in that way. But what separates us all together is like, okay, your view on abortion, your view on gay marriage, your view on police brutality. It's a host of other issues that will keep you like, welfare, you know what? Yeah, exactly.
Or like the military.
It could be a host of issues. What's going to be like, what's going to take precedence? Can we can we get together and just separate that out?
Or what do you mean by, I don't think you can separate it out. I think you have to kind of, because I think, what do most people want? Most people want to be able to live comfortably. Most people want to be able to engage with the world without restriction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess something that has to be shown to them is, how does X benefit you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, how does this actually benefit you? Does it just make you feel good? So are you investing in, I guess, issues that make you feel good, but kind of neglecting issues that actually affect your life tangibly? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's something that has to be kind of, you know, addressed over and over and constantly.
I mean, we're talking about a massive campaign. It would have to be a massive campaign, and it would have to be done in a way to where people would actually sign on to it. That people would, one, understand it, and then two, elevate the need for this above everything else.
I think that's the biggest hurdle right there, because I think individuals, well, you know, individuals kind of form a collective, but I think there's people as a collective in their own little compartments that kind of have these wedge issues that are kind of act as a firewall to, I wouldn't say unity, but unifying with everyone else with a common goal. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be hard to like break through that firewall.
And then what we didn't even talk about was, let's say we are on the brink, or maybe not even on the brink, but let's say like that's the goal, that's the strategy, there's a campaign, we're trying to get together, and you know, we're trying to get some unison so we can actually make some change. What's going to be the response by the powers that be?
They're probably going to, most likely they will try to herd people back into those kind of small compartments, or herd people back into those wedge issues, or herd people back into those narrow compartments to shift their attention away from all the bullshit that they're doing.
See, we already know what the game is, right? We already know what the game is.
But see, I think it's like one thing that I have to acknowledge, that it's not just that the game is being played on people. I have to acknowledge that people like playing that game too.
No doubt.
And again, it's like, how can you convince people that the game doesn't have a very a beneficial consequence? There's no end to the game. It's just constantly, you know what I'm saying? So they're investing in the game too.
How do you convince somebody that they're a pawn when they think they're not?
They've done it for they've been doing it for a long time.
I know, they've been very successful at it. We got a hard road, man. Let me see. Let's get to briefly. Richard Cordray. He was the director of the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. He announced on Wednesday that he is planning to leave the agency by the end of November. Now, we talked about before, remember when we were talking about Equifax and Wells Fargo and their absolutely horrible behavior, and they put customers' information in jeopardy, or just outright created phony accounts, millions of accounts in regards to Wells Fargo. But the CFPB had implemented a rule so that it would enable customers to band together and file class action lawsuits against these financial companies. Well, Republicans shut that down. That was on November 1st. They shut that damn thing down. So when we talked about it, we talked about how bad the scenario was going to be, because Cordray had, I guess he had suggested that he was going to be leaving, and like he put the statement out, he's leaving. Now, he was appointed by President Barack Obama. Now, he left, and some speculate that he left because he's planning on running for governor in Ohio, and like I think the filing date is coming up soon, maybe early next year. But what this now does is it gives President Donald Trump the opportunity to appoint his own person for the job.
And we all know how rational, logical, and qualified his potential appointments have been.
Qualified, rational,
logical, empathetic.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm sure he's going to appoint somebody that's right for the, because in the job, you're supposed to be doing what's best for the people. You're like, because this concerns finance, banking. So you're there to, the whole reason for this bureau is to make sure that these companies are not getting over on customers. You really think Donald Trump's going to appoint somebody that is actually going to do that?
Not with what his track record has been this first year. Not with like the EPA. Not with the Treasury Secretary. Not with Betsy DeVos. Not with HUD.
Yeah.
Not with, you see what I'm saying? Not with anything. Like, go down the list.
This is where we're at. And again, we're not even into his first, we're not even past his first full year. But in that, going to some of his nominees, he nominated Michael Dorson to lead the Environmental Protection Agency's Chemical Safety Office. And it looks like he might not get past his confirmation vote. So there have been some Republican senators that said that they would not vote for him. North Carolina Senator Tom Tilson and Richard Burr, both of them said that they would vote against him to be to lead the EPA's Chemical Safety Office. And just after that, Susan Collins, the senator from Maine, has said that she's leaning against him and leaning against voting for him. Now, so this guy has worked for approximately 2 decades as a chemical toxicologist. He was paid by a number of companies, states, others to conduct reviews of certain chemicals. Now, very frequently, he came to the decision that chemicals were less harmful to individuals than what states, universities, and the EPA said.
So the results put forth by organizations and institutions that don't have a stake in these companies said these chemicals were harmful. But he was paid by these companies, and he somehow just coincidentally came up with conclusions that didn't bite the hand that was feeding him.
Yeah. So in some way and somehow, very frequently, he helped the companies that were paying him. And he got to a position, he got to a result that said, hey, no, hold on. Actually, these universities, the EPA, they're all wrong. These chemicals are actually not that harmful. What about...
Well, yeah.
Like, wow,
what a
really?
coinky dink. That's when you did that. That's what I thought you were saying in your head. Yeah. What a coinky dink.
It's crazy, right? But at least, like I said, there's at least 3 Republicans that it seems like they're not going to vote for him. So this is a good thing. This is a very good thing.
At least you don't have like this complete wash and complete consensus with Republicans.
Right. Exactly.
To where it's all up to Democrats.
Yeah. But yeah, three Republican senators, that knocks it out because you can only lose 2. So 3 Republican senators, looks like he's not going to be confirmed unless they get bribed in some way. We know that's a possibility, but we'll see. We'll see. As of right now, it looks like good news. He won't be confirmed. Also in the Senate, this happened a few days ago. There's a bipartisan group in the Senate that has reached an agreement to ease restrictions on banks. Doesn't that sound good? That sounds pretty good, right? There's a bipartisan group that has reached an agreement to ease restrictions on banks.
You see, I messaged you about what I felt about the Democrats. Because what are the Democrats doing right now? What are the Democrats doing right now? What are they trying to do? What did they just present articles to do?
You mean impeach Donald Trump?
Impeach Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, they know that Republicans have the majority, so that they know that Republicans ain't gonna do shit.
No. maybe they get one Republican. I don't even think they'll get one.
See,
but still,
I'm telling you, that is like some like sort of side diversions to keep people from kind of criticizing them on their bipartisan efforts to strengthen corporations' stranglehold on us.
Right. Because if they can project themselves as over on this side, and Donald Trump is obviously on that side, he's the bad guy. We're against Donald Trump. We're against that agenda. Well, then, you know, you look like you're probably the reasonable batch of people, right? But come on, this is all theater. We know this.
That's what I think it is. I'm not saying it doesn't have enough merit right now.
No, it doesn't.
That's why I know it's theater, because it doesn't have enough merit right now. We're not saying that Donald Trump is qualified.
No.
But it doesn't have enough merit right now because of kind of what the Democrats are engaged in right now, because they're still stuck in this kind of mode where they want to look like the good guys. But this next story, or this story right now,
yeah, exactly. Why are you grouping with Republican senators to say, you know what, I think it's a good idea to ease regulations on banks? That's not a good look. So the deal, if it is passed, it would loosen regulations on small community banks, but also it would loosen regulations on very large banks, banks with over $50 billion in assets. Now, we all remember 2008, the financial crisis, the crash that happened, you know, the recession. We understand that the banks had a lot to do with that, correct? Right? So after that, certain measures were enacted. Dodd-Frank was implemented, right? That was enacted, and that put tough, well, you know,
I know, yeah,
yeah, depending on your vantage point.
Yeah, you put, you didn't do the air quotes, but I felt the
like
air quotes.
Tough. Okay.
Yeah,
I guess tougher. Let's say tougher. Let's qualify it. Tougher restrictions and regulations on banks. Now, what this new agreement would do is it would increase the threshold to where those restrictions, like who is, I guess, impacted by those restrictions. Because right now, like I said, it's at $50 billion in assets. With this new deal, it would increase that threshold to $250 billion in assets. So banks like SunTrust and like Regions, who is below that threshold, their restrictions would be eased. Their regulations would be eased.
Wait a second. So they're trying to like incorporate the banks that cause the most problems into this package. Yeah. They're trying to make sure they get they reap the benefits of this deregulation.
So yeah, so if I'm thinking about this, these measures were put in place, like Dodd-Frank. Now again, I'm not going to say it's tough. It was tougher regulations than what we had. Now, they were implemented because of the crisis, because we saw the loose and fast actions of several banks, how they were playing a game and they lost, and we all lost because of it, because of deregulation. Now, what they're saying, what this bipartisan group is saying is that, well, you know,
we forgive them.
We forgive them.
We forgive them.
And we trust them now. And we trust them to do the right thing.
We trust them more.
We trust them more. So you really think they won't do what's necessary to increase profits? You don't think that they will be, what can I say, irresponsible again? You don't think that they would do that again? Because deregulation caused this, right? If you don't have regulations in place, if you just leave them to their own devices, what do you think they're going to do? They're not going to do what's in the best interest of people. Again, we're still talking about this power thing, right?
Abuse of power.
And again, this is a bipartisan group.
And they
kind of Democrats like Heidi Heitkamp from North Dakota, I believe, John Tester of Montana, Joe Donnelly of Indiana, Mark Warner of Virginia.
And mind you, this is on top of the House's proposed tax plan.
on
top of that.
on top of that. So not only do these corporations get more money, like not only do they get more benefits from tax reform, you're also going to say, you know what, we're going to loosen up these regulations on you so that you can cause some more damage.
Oh yeah, you're right. You right, Matthew. We live in the Matrix, and we got the Sentinels coming straight for us.
Man, I mean, like I said, you know, we laugh about this, but it's not funny.
No, it's not, man.
It's really not funny. It's
and I think the conversation we were having earlier about how we can kind of get people out of these kind of narrow wedge issues. Kevin, a very frequent watcher of our live show, said that basically, you know, we just need to show them that the issues each of them have are really the result of the same set of problems: frauds, politicians, and legislation. Yo, that's a very succinct and insightful answer, but I think it's not that easy, because you have people who are tied those issues that they need to let go of to those legislators.
Right. So yeah, we can all agree with that.
All
of us can band together with that. But then if somebody that's on the outside, you know, has a opposing campaign, and they say, you know who you're with, right? You're with people that support aborted babies. You're with people that support Planned Parenthood, and you know they frequent in the traffic of baby body parts. I mean, they could do that with so many different issues, and then of course we're gonna see where people like, oh, you're like, oh, hold on, what takes precedence here?
Yeah, what takes precedence? It's like, do I actually buy into the same idea that this legislator is expressing right now? And if they do, then they get kind of caught up in that vacuum. I mean, they're willingly caught up in that vacuum, but it just like the continued support for people like Roy Moore. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, it shows that a lot of the voters actually don't care about ethics. And if they don't care about ethics with a particular individual, how can we expect these people to care about the ethics when it comes to, I guess, the larger subject of, policy creation?
Because bringing up Roy Moore is a terrific point, because the people that continuously still support him, like you're talking about the evangelicals, right? Are we to assume that they don't care about sexual assault? I don't think I'm not assuming that.
Yeah.
I think they care about sexual assault, but as it relates to Roy Moore,
their identity is tied to him.
Exactly. So they're going to put him above these claims.
So it doesn't. It's almost like it doesn't matter if we can show them that their problems come from politicians. What they'll always do is they'll always deflect those problems to the politicians that they don't like, and never attribute it to the politicians that they do like and that they are attached to, based on very narrow wedge issues and based on how they identify with those, personally identify with those politicians.
The hardest thing, and everybody knows it, is how to actually put us all together. I mean, like, because we all pretty much have the same goal in mind. You know, the 99%, right? We really all want the same damn thing. But to actually get to that point, that is the hardest thing.
So basically, we have to sort our own differences out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Before we go down that path together. And until we sort all those differences out between us, we're going to see the same thing play out in our politics.
Right. Because I think people believe that we all feel one way about this, right? We're all together on this. Now, there's some outside issues that we don't agree with, right? But if we can just band together on this, we'll be golden. But that's impossible. That's absolutely impossible, because those outside issues will always surface. So if we don't address these issues, like, we'll never get to this place. We'll never get there. So again, like, how to address those issues so that we do get here, it's anyone's best guess how we actually do that. I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's go to man, did you hear the news today? Did you hear the news today? Breaking news. 210,000 gallons of oil leaked today, Thursday. The Keystone pipeline in South Dakota. 210,000 gallons of oil leaked from that pipeline. Now, this happened early in the morning, I believe, and crews shut down the pipeline. They're investigating the cause of the leak, and it's being reported that this happened over grass or an agricultural field. I guess they contacted the landowner, and they got permission to assess the damage, and I guess I don't know if they started cleanup yet, or I don't know. Details are still coming out, but again, according to reports, it did not impact any surface body water, so that's a plus. That's a good thing. Very good, very good, very good, right? But yeah. Now,
see, I
like, cause like this was so like, were you you were surprised when you heard?
I
this,
was
right?
like,
an oil leak,
an oil leak, an
from
oil
a
spill?
pipeline.
You mean that something happened that environmentalists, or from Greenpeace, or any other environmental advocacy organization, you mean to tell me something actually happened that they were concerned about, that they warned about,
that they predicted
what
happened?
Wait.
But these supporters of pipelines and Trans Canada, they would tell you that this pipeline is safe, and that there should be no issues.
Okay. What was Dakota Access Pipeline about? Wasn't it about that same concern?
It was about the same damn concern, because in that case, the pipeline is going up under
the water.
Yeah, up under the water, the main water source.
So what do you think would happen to that water source if the pipe bursts right there? Because they can't determine where the pipes are going to burst. They can't determine that.
You mean they can't predict at what point in the pipeline will burst and leak oil?
Not only that, these companies work very hard to lobby Congress, so the kind of inspection, the level of compliance as far as how sturdy and how capable they are and non-dangerous, those kind of compliance measures are kind of loosened a bit. So I don't think that they can accurately predict where the weaknesses are going to occur.
You don't think they can accurately predict it?
You like, nah, really?
So okay. If we're talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline now, you know what? It kind of makes sense that the fine people of Bismarck fought so hard to say, you know what? We don't want that pipeline.
Wait. You might want to rephrase that. You said fought so hard. I didn't see them outside in Eskimo caps.
No, I did not.
I didn't see them outside in 3 and 4 layer.
Let's say they.
How cold was it out there, dog? You went out there. I couldn't go. You went out there.
It was cold. It like at the point that I went, it wasn't like free. I don't think it was like below like 20, 30 degrees or so. It was cold, but it wasn't below that. It didn't get to like 0 and below until I believe like January, like December, January. I went in November. But yeah, in Bismarck, I don't think there was any of that.
Yeah, they pretty much was like, nah, you're not going through our neighborhood, because you're not going through our area. And guess what reason they used? What reason did they use as far as why they didn't want that pipeline going through their neighborhood and their area? What reason did they use? The exact.
Was it the possibility of a leak?
Yeah, but they didn't have to protest.
No, they didn't have
to
protest.
They just got what they wanted, just like that.
They just put up some opposition to it, and then
so they
said, you know what, we're gonna reroute this thing.
They didn't even, I guess, have the opportunity. I don't even use that word, but they didn't even have the opportunity to appear like they were what a lot of these companies call environmental terrorists. They didn't even have to do that. All they had to say is, nah, we don't want it. And they were listened to. But when it comes to I know they weren't listened to. So when it comes to listening to the voices of the most marginalized for the exact same reason, what happened? a battle had to ensue.
Yep. You had police in riot gear, military weaponry, people arrested. You had a whole battle out there, right?
B cubed, you crazy. See, I knew she was gonna come up with. I knew she was gonna do that. I knew she was gonna do that. She was like, "All right, y'all. All right, y'all."
I was in Bismarck. I stayed in Bismarck. I know exactly how white it is. It is very white. I believe the population in Bismarck was like 0.4 or 0.5% black. I felt very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. It was never even that bad here in South Carolina. Not
so
that bad.
I know. I think this, and I think like you can connect that to like all issues, like when it comes to protesting. I don't even care. Like this is like an environmental issue, but when it comes to like protesting, let's say police brutality or prison reform or any issue that's going to affect any marginalized community, like
who's listened to?
Who's listened to? So obviously, like, you know, people who speak out and are advocates or activists for these issues, they're always castigated and they're always put in this position where they might have to look like terrorists because they have to. So you have more affluent people who get what they want without having to be put in those positions to look that way. So it's like the question is always asked, you know, like, oh, why are they protesting? Why are they so aggressive? Why is there so much violence? Like, why? I was like, because they are not having to go through it, and they are. I was like, when you have to kind of fight tooth and nail and fight through all this red tape stained in blood, then of course you're going to be the one who's going to look like the most aggressive and most terrorist, or you know, economic terrorist or environmental terrorist.
When you're talking about like bad policing, right? When you're talking about police brutality, police actions that should not be tolerated, do you hear these cases? Do you hear these situations arise mostly in suburbs? Are they in those kind of neighborhoods?
A long time ago, there was a police chief. I forgot his name. He's like retired right now, and he pretty much was like, I don't know if it's from Cleveland or not, but he was basically saying like, hey, like, we get these numbers about where the drugs are coming from, who's selling them, and who's using them. He's like, we get these numbers as law enforcement officials, but yet how we enforce those laws and who we target don't match up with that. He actually suggested, now this was a black guy, so he suggested, he was like, hey, it was like, we know where the drugs are. He's like, why don't we institute some of those same policies, enforcement policies and approaches to drugs in the suburbs? And they was like, you know, the first answer he got was, oh, it was like, yeah, they would be outraged. We would not.
They wouldn't tolerate it.
They wouldn't tolerate it.
Yeah,
probably because of how much of a voice they have and how much power they have.
But if we're talking about actual numbers, white people and black people,
same. It's about the same.
Use drugs about the same.
Same and sell at the same rate.
Yes.
So again, it's like there's certain people that I guess don't have to put themselves in positions to fight for things. So obviously they're not going to be the ones to have to put themselves out there and look a certain way and get those same labels.
Right.
So it's like the situation.
Terrorist.
Exactly. So the situation like we're in right now with these pipelines busting, and the situation that we covered like a lot last year with the Dakota Access Pipeline, those people were put in positions to, I guess, appear like they were the bad guys.
Yeah,
like they were the terrorists. Like they weren't being reasonable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Domestic terrorists, you're getting in the way of a pipeline, like something that is needed here. Now, okay, so what's interesting though about this happening right now, just on Thursday, this leak happening, is that in a few days there's going to be a decision to be made in Nebraska, and that decision will be about the Keystone XL pipeline. You remember that, right? You remember how that made a lot of noise in the 2016 campaign. In 2015, you remember there was a lot of talk about if Hillary Clinton was going to support it or not, and she wanted to stay mum on it. She didn't want to say anything. She finally did say no, she doesn't support it, well after Bernie Sanders did. Anyway, but Barack Obama, he didn't approve it, but then when Donald Trump came in, he approved the Keystone XL pipeline. So, like I said, in a few days, the Public Service Commission in Nebraska will have a decision to make whether they're going to grant a permit for this pipeline. Now, again, this is just a few days from now. Now, how bad will it look if they actually approve this grant now? Just a few days after a leak of a sister pipeline in South Dakota leaked over 200,000 gallons of oil. How bad is that going to look if they actually approve this grant?
It's going to look bad, but I do think that I guess this major leak of 210 gallons of oil is not going to have a lot of media coverage. So I think they're counting on that. So it's going to look bad.
I saw this on CNN. It was breaking news.
Yeah.
Now going forward, how much coverage is it going to get?
Because see, that's what I'm saying. Like, again, you have, like, we have to acknowledge that anything that is, I guess, puts a stain on any kind of corporate interest, it will appear on corporate news sometimes. Yeah. It will appear, especially if it's breaking.
But how much?
But how much
going forward?
Forward. What happens is, like, yes, they'll do it for a little bit of, a little viewership, and then they'll just kind of like not talk about it, and they'll want credit for covering it when they really didn't cover it. They just highlighted it once, and it kind of goes away from people's memory.
What is that they do? And actually, that was about the Dakota Access Pipeline, I believe, on CNN. The not reported story. What do they call it? I think it was a Jake Tapper. Like the unreported story.
It was like a year later. It was like a year later.
It's unreported because you didn't report on it. Yeah, man. Well, we'll see in a few days. We'll see if they actually approve this Keystone XL pipeline. It's gonna be a bad look, but we know what corporations, or what organizations, groups, what politicians do for corporations.
And we know what the media does too.
Yep. All right, so let's go to Yemen. Okay, so we've talked about Yemen a couple times, maybe several times actually, about the war in Yemen, how Saudi Arabia has been bombing Yemen for over 2 years now. Yeah, it's the civilian deaths that Yemen has incurred, how Saudi Arabia has targeted they've targeted civilian locations. Yeah. Like
churches, weddings,
marketplaces, hospitals, civilian innocent people just being slaughtered. Right? We've talked about that. So we also talked about several weeks ago how there's this representative named Ro Khanna, and he's leading the effort in the House to fight the U.S. inclusion of this war in Yemen. So it was a bipartisan effort that he was leading, and it would have forced Congress to end our involvement in this war, or it would have forced the U.S. to declare war on Yemen, or it would have forced the U.S. to officially announce a coalition with Saudi Arabia against Yemen. Officially.
That's
because as of right now, like in a bunch of other countries, we talked about Niger, how troops are just there, and we're not just through a act of Congress.
Like right now in Yemen, we're just kind of like supplying some of the weapons and refueling their planes,
providing intelligence.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. So we're not. It's hands-on. It's just not. We're not shooting guns, I guess. We're not dispersing bombs and drones and stuff like that. But we are active in this war. So, like I said, Representative Ro Khanna, he's been fighting to get some clarity on the matter. Now, he was using the War Powers Act. And we talked about that because by using the War Powers Act, it would have forced a vote on the floor. And that vote was supposed to take place, I believe it was the first week in October. It was supposed to take place the first week in October. Because there was a certain time frame to where it was just going to be just sitting there. And after that time frame, I think it was 14 days, anybody could have brought it up, and then they would have talked about it, and then they would have forced a vote. So we've been looking like, okay, I haven't seen anything. I've heard no news. Like I said, we've been paying attention to it. Nothing, right? So on November 1st, the House Rules Committee decided that the War Powers Act did not apply. So that's how they got around it. They had a hearing or whatever like that. They looked at it, said, you know what? The War Powers Act, not relevant here. So
you know what I think?
Forced vote.
They didn't. I don't even think they did a review of the War Powers Act in regard to the situation to come to that conclusion.
Just looked like they did.
But I think a lot of attention, rightfully so, has been kind of placed on, actual infrastructure damage and loss of life in regard to like the bombing.
Right.
But in addition to lives lost based on like the infrastructure damage and all that, is right now there's like one of the biggest famines going on right now because there's
thousands of people.
Blockade, like air, land, and sea, a blockade that's blocking any kind of aid or supplies to Yemen. So you have tons of civilians that have not only been injured physically by bombing, but are now starving. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's what makes our support even more callous.
Yeah.
And like I guess the UN Security Council is not doing jack.
No, not at all. Like I said, it's just we've been a part of this situation for a very long time, and nobody's doing anything about it. It's a horrible war to be a part of, and again, Congress has said nothing about this. So on Monday, they grouped together and they actually had a vote in the House. They voted 366 to 30. They passed a resolution condemning the civilian deaths in Yemen.
See. You know what that is. You know what that is. Let's condemn the deaths. Let's condemn the deaths in Yemen.
Yeah.
To give ourselves a pat on the back. But let's not really, put any effort into like stopping our actual support of that.
No, they condemn the starvation, spread of disease, like you were saying, and the deaths. And they admit, in doing that, they admitted that much of the responsibility falls on us because we have an effort in this war. But this has. What you say? I think beforehand you said it has no teeth, right?
It has no teeth.
This resolution has no teeth because it does not stop our involvement. We're going to continue to refuel planes. We're going to continue to provide intelligence and arms. So the situation,
as long as somebody's
still here,
because
as
long as somebody's getting paid, it's going to continue.
I mean, some look at this as like this, okay, this is kind of like landmark. I mean, like Congress actually got together and they actually said something, like they actually condemned what's happening over there. So they hadn't done that before. So I understand where people are like, well, I mean, that's a step. I guess that's a step, but it did nothing.
It doesn't do anything.
Does this mean that they're going to take another step? I don't think it does.
No,
we know how Congress works.
Yeah, I think that they were hoping that people would see it as some sort of kind of landmark, I guess, decree by committee. You know what I'm saying? Like just a decree.
But if it actually had, if it was actually meaningful, then it would have created an action. It would have been like, okay, this is just going to precede us actually doing something like this. This is the vote that's going to make us say that we're not going to be involved in this anymore.
Why do you need a vote to condemn? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Like why
I'm voting to condemn this? Why are you voting to show your position? That doesn't make any sense.
Couldn't you just have easily just said, you know what, me as the representative of the 26th district in New York, I condemn what's going on.
So why do you need to vote to condemn something if the condemnation is not followed up with action? Like, look, we voted, and we voted. The vote, look at the vote. Yeah, 360 to 30.
We do not approve of what's going on over there.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay, you don't approve, but your actions are going to make the situation worse. Like, you've already made a situation worse by your involvement, and you're going to keep your actions the same, even though you said that your inclusion has made the result this bad: the death, the starvation, and the disease. But we're gonna keep going in the same direction.
But why are you surprised?
What do you expect, right?
What do you expect?
What do you expect? Man, like I said, I think I saw, you know, some people saying that maybe Saudi Arabia will feel concerned because Congress condemned what's going on over there.
What?
Because it's like, hey, well, the U.S. is coming together and saying what's going on over there is bad. It's really, really, really bad.
That's like Hillary Clinton. No, because Hillary Clinton going to NASDAQ, not to the saying I told you. Or even if she went to the right place,
yeah,
it still was like, hey, you guys that don't really pay attention to regulation,
yeah,
you know, knock that out,
yeah,
stop that, knock it off.
Giving a metaphorical, like, you know.
That's what it reminds me of.
You know, my private position.
That's what it reminds me of. That's what that explanation reminds me of. You know, maybe they'll act when they see us wagging our finger at them. I'm like,
no, they would act when you pull your support.
Stop them weapons deals.
Yeah, stop that. Stop refueling the planes. Stop providing them intelligence, so they are enabled to kill innocent people repetitively.
That's like me supplying like the mob with stuff and then condemning the mob's actions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I give them the guns, I give them the cars, I supply them with men.
But all these people you're killing, man, we're not in approval of this. Here's more. Here you go. This is their official position. They condemn the violence. All right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is a little bit of sports news, but it's connected. It's connected to Donald Trump, of course. So if anybody follows college basketball, or if anybody's heard of the Ball family, you know, like the father, LeVar Ball, his son Lonzo Ball, who plays for the Los Angeles Lakers now, and he has two other children, one that's still in high school. The middle child, though, LiAngelo Ball, plays for the UCLA Bruins basketball. So it has been reported in recent days that UCLA was in China, I believe, right? Yeah, they were in China and getting ready for a game, right? Against Georgia Tech, I believe.
I don't know who.
It doesn't even matter. I think it was Georgia Tech. But anyway, 3 players from the team, including LiAngelo Ball. Another one is named Cody Riley, and the other one is Jalen Hill. These 3 were together, and they went to 3 separate stores. They stole merchandise from 3 separate stores. I heard one of the products that they stole was some sunglasses, some very expensive
like
sunglasses.
Louis Vuittons or Gucci, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was a Louis Vuitton store, one of the stores that they stole from. So they got arrested, put, you know, I guess in a holding facility in jail. And the penalty for such a crime would have been years. I heard somewhere from between like 7 and 10 years, I believe. I don't know how accurate, but I believe I saw 7 to 10 years. So I mean, they were facing some pretty stiff penalties for their incredibly stupid actions. And at first, when I was reading this, I was like, nah, there's no way they actually went to a different country and actually stole some stuff, right?
Especially, and not just going to a different country, going to a different country as representatives of their basketball team, as representatives of UCLA. Like,
they're stupid, right? And then there's just out of this world stupid. Like they're like, that's not immature. That is, you're not using a single brain cell at this point. So again, I'm thinking there's no way that, like, there had to be some kind of confusion. They didn't actually do this. Well, as it turns out, they did. They actually stole from 3 different stores. Now, President Trump intervened. He spoke with the president of China, and he got them released. Or I don't know exactly how much he meant to it, but I believe him intervening was, it possibly was the catalyst, and he got them released. The charges were dropped, so they made their way back home. So they've been indefinitely suspended. Don't know when they can even practice with the team. They can't travel with the team. Some are speculating that it might be half the season. It may be the full season. They may be expelled from the school. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. But what was interesting about this was before the players actually spoke about the issue, because they held a press conference. Before they actually did that, President Trump got on Twitter and he put something out. He put a post out. This was the post that he put out. He said, "Do you think the 3 UCLA basketball players will say thank you, President Trump? They were headed for 10 years in jail." So it just kind of, it sounds like a, like...
You know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't care. They could have rotted over there for all I care. But him going over there to get them doesn't mean anything, because in the long run, he is the president, and I'm not going to give him credit for this, because right now he's pushing for a tax bill that's going to fuck over most of America. So I'm not going to.
So I'm helping 3 players.
So I'm here, but I'm saying I'm helping these 3 players. So
he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. I'm like, get out of here. Nah, I personally don't care.
But the tweet, like I said, he put the tweet out before the players had made any official statement or anything like that. So he's kind of set up the stage like, oh, these ungrateful players, you think they're really gonna thank me? Like, and it kind of gives you the feeling like, okay, why are you taking that position? Is it because this is the sports world, and you know how the sports world kind of feels about President Trump? They've made that known throughout
he's already see again. This tells me that there's somewhere deep in the recesses of this dude's mind, there's a conscience just glimmering in there, and knows that he's an unnecessary fire starter. So he's like, man, I gotta redeem myself from this NFL debacle, calling these niggers sons of bitches, man. You know what I'm saying? See, he got to redeem himself. So it's
like I said, he's setting that stage like, these ungrateful sons of bitches. Yeah. Even though he didn't say that, but still. But okay, so after the tweet, guess what happened? These players, they had a press conference, and every single one of them thanked President Trump for intervening and getting them out of China and getting the charges dropped. Every single one of them.
I'll be cool if he intervened in getting all them trademarks that he has out of China. I'd be cool if he intervened in not influencing Ivanka getting trademarks in that same country.
Yeah.
I'd be cool if he intervened in, trying to squash all these offshore accounts. That's what I want him to do in other countries.
Nah, he's just helping UCLA basketball.
And I think again, even this act is connected to a money-making machine, which is UCLA connected to NCAA basketball.
Oh yeah.
Even this.
Do you think they lobbied?
Exactly. I'm just saying, even this generous or benevolent act is connected to big business.
You think if it was just like 3 regular people, you think he would have intervened?
You mean if it was like JoJo, Ray, and Junebug? So if it was JoJo, Ray, and Junebug,
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think they still be in China, facing some charges. That's what I think. Well, anyway, but the President Trump, he had to eat his words though. He didn't say that, but he followed that up their statements at the press conference thanking President Trump, and he followed that up with some tweets saying, "You're welcome and have a great life." See, this dude, I remember when we talked about Steph Curry and him pulling back the invitation to the White House. It's like he doesn't get ahead of anything. He plays from behind. You shouldn't have said anything.
No,
you shouldn't have said nothing.
So what you're saying is he kind of followed our advice of playing ahead.
Yes,
but he didn't play ahead in the right way.
Not the right way. Yeah. See, you put your foot in your mouth, and now you had to take it out. He looks really stupid right now, because these players couldn't have been more apologetic. Well, whatever.
Because the statement was probably
they all read statements, so it didn't look heartfelt. But anyway, they couldn't have been more thankful to President Trump for intervening on their behalf. And so now he looks like, oh yeah, well, you're welcome, boys. Have a great life, man.
It was like, yo, cause it was like, dang it, I can't talk trash. That's what I do.
Yeah,
I can't talk trash.
Oh, the tweets was, I mean, it was very nice. Very nice. He said some other words like, "Oh, life is hard" or something, and there's gonna be
ups
some
and
obstacles,
downs,
and have a great life. And I'm like you didn't just say that they wouldn't thank you.
Small victories, Will. He's just searching for small victories. He hasn't had one. He needs one before Christmas, though. Before they take that break, though. Because if they don't get one now, because. Think about it. He was inaugurated on January 20th. When they don't come back before then, I don't think. So I'm like, if you don't get a win before Christmas,
yeah, man. And see, and that's what they want. They want to be able to get the Senate tax bill to President Trump before Christmas. Yeah. That's what they want. But think about this, man. The Senate race in Alabama, I believe it's December 13th.
Yeah, we talked about that last show.
So the Democrat who is damn, I can't remember what was that dude's name?
I can't remember.
Doug Jones. The Democrat Doug Jones. Right now it looks like it's even, but Roy Moore is looking worse and worse as the day goes by, right? So there's a real chance that Doug Jones actually wins that spot. That's gonna be another Democrat in the Senate. They don't get this thing passed by Christmas.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be like some sort of like incremental step in, I guess, in a particular direction for Democrats.
Yeah, because then they could only stand to lose two.
That was one.
No, let me see.
That was
two. Yeah,
two. I thought it was two, but it could be one. It could be one.
Yeah. No. They can only stand to lose one. I believe, because right now they can only stand to lose two. Okay. Yeah, if they lose three, it's done.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can only stand to lose one if Doug Jones actually wins that seat. So, they got to be sweating bullets right now. They have got to be sweating bullets because it's not looking good. I mean, the timing of what's going on is not working out in their favor. Of course, the House did pass their version, but again, it looks like it's going to be a battle in the Senate. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see. I don't know. That's all we got for today. That's all we got. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Yeah, let me put the number up here. Yeah, anybody have any questions or anything? Now is the time to put it up or call in, and we can get you on the air. Let's see. Terabray, he went over there to get them. Nah, he didn't go over there. He was already in Asia.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah, Trump was already in Asia, and this happened, and he talked to the president. And like I said, it seems like he was instrumental in getting them released. So, but and I think listening to the press conference too, I think every single one of them was like, yeah, this was a mistake. It was a mistake. This doesn't represent my character, and I'm not going to be like this. This isn't who I am, and this and that. And I always have a problem with that word mistake, man. I always have a problem with that word mistake. Because when you make an action, like, you meant to do what you did. Like, these are 18, 19-year-old, well, probably about 18 years old, right? Okay, I'm sure that they are immature to some degree. No doubt. But you telling me they don't know not to steal in a different country when they're representing UCLA? You telling me they don't know not to steal? Yeah,
because when you say mistake, it's like you're doing something you didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, I tripped over this cord that I didn't see.
It's not like you can't like bake a cake or bake some chicken, or you can't do something that requires a bunch of steps and a bunch of deliberate actions. A mistake.
We didn't broadcast on YouTube by mistake. Yeah, that was purposeful.
So you're saying that when people say mistake, it is not completely coming clean?
No, it's not, because it was a mistake. Like, be truthful about your actions. You made a very bad decision.
An error in judgment.
Yes.
When you say error in judgment, it just seems a little bit more genuine, and you're putting it all on you. When you say mistake, it was
like you weren't in control.
It kind of suggests that you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was either impulsive, or it was just like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My 2-year-old makes mistakes all the times. An 18-year-old man that goes into a store and lifts some sunglasses and leaves the store without paying for them, and then goes to 2 other stores and steals some other stuff, they're not making mistakes. No. I don't want to hear that. Yeah, it sounds risky in China, right? I mean, it's a different nation, man. They got different rules.
Yo, how you coming up in here late, dredging? Talking about, yo, I finally made it to the live show. What up, y'all? I'm like, yo, dog.
Yeah, 8:55 p.m. Man, we started at 7. You got to come here early, man.
You could we'll leave the live show up for a little bit so you can catch the whole thing.
Yeah,
but it's all good, man. We glad you made it at least.
Oh, Matthew said, I was moved by the young man's words. I'm not a fan of the fam, just him, I guess. I think Ball, Leangelo, his words, I think they resonated the most. They felt the most genuine because and one thing was that the other two, it really like they looked like they were doing this. They were just like blah 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 blah. But Ball, you could tell he read a little bit, but he spoke into the camera. He was like speaking. So it like you said, it felt more genuine.
But see, you gotta know he is probably more media trained too, since he's a family. But
I know,
but at least you got that feeling.
Yeah, at least. But like I said, like, don't read from a statement. You should know enough to say, like, in this situation, you know what you did was wrong, right? You shouldn't have to read a statement to perfectly state that you were wrong in your actions and how you feel bad about it. Like, you don't need words on a paper to say that. Just say, you know, look, I did something that was absolutely the wrong decision I made the absolute wrong decision. Yeah, I did steal, and this is not indicative of my behavior or of my character. I'm a better man than this, and I'm gonna constantly show that and prove that to the world. I mean, like, come on, man, you can't come off the top of the dome and just apologize. You need a prepared statement.
I guarantee you, maybe they were given the opportunity to write their own, but probably the university probably prepared statements for them. I'm thinking either the university or their coaches.
Yeah,
probably prepared statements and approved statements because they wanted to make sure they wrap this thing up.
It looked phony as what though, man. I don't like prepared statements, especially when you're apologizing for your actions. Just communicate that. Just communicate how sorry you are and that it won't happen again, and be done with it, man. That's it.
Oh dang, I see that, man. You a truck driver? Oh snap! That means you ain't hardly ever home.
Oh really?
Yeah, dredging.
Oh okay.
Yeah. And Mary says, what Mary say? Just made it to the chat myself. Was listening in bed. Oh hey, Mary in bed. Let's see.
What was that about the power blackout? The VQ said, yeah, we had a power blackout last Tuesday, 2 in 1 day, 3 in a week. Sometimes I feel like America's infrastructure looks like we lost World War II. Damn.
Well, with the money we've spent in Afghanistan, I was reading, that could have like rebuilt like our entire infrastructure.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of things that we're spending that
like just Afghanistan.
Yeah. Afghanistan, man. That
could have done some basic work on our entire or infrastructural needs that we have right currently.
And think about that, man. They are willing. These Republicans are willing to add over $1 trillion to our deficit over 10 years. They're willing to do that so that they give massive handouts to the wealthy. Like, they can't use that money to actually benefit the 99% of us. That's crazy. That's a statement to make, man. But people aren't seeing it like that, man. They're actually taking them at their word that they're actually cutting taxes on the middle class.
Cut.
The cut act. Yeah, the cut act. VQ said, is the Dem running against the Alabama pervert actually any good? All I've seen him post is something like, I'm not banned from malls. You know, we do. You know what? We kind of have to look into it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know anything about Doug Jones. I seriously don't. I don't know anything about him. Maybe we should kind of research that and include that into the show on Tuesday. Because yeah, I don't know too much about him. I know he is not Roy Moore. You know, like you said, he's not banned from malls. All right. Well, look, we're not getting any calls. Anybody have a question or a comment? You can call. We're not going to be back until, man, it's already Thursday, man.
Man,
already
these weeks
Thursday.
just fly by. Man.
They do fly by. So it's Thursday. We're not going to be back till Tuesday, 7 p.m. And you know what? Actually, I think we're only going to do one show next week. Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today.
Yeah.
I was like, are we gonna do a?
Yeah, I don't think.
Are we gonna do a beans, green, potatoes, tomatoes show?
I don't think anybody's gonna watch.
Got a call.
Oh, we do.
Got a call coming in. Let's pray that we can hear
this
them.
is VQ.
You think so? I do recognize that number.
Hello, you're on the air with LTMB live.
Is it actually working this time?
It should be working.
Yes,
Let's
I
get
can
some
hear
confirmation.
you.
Let's get confirmation from the.
Yeah, let's first get confirmation from
the chat.
The chat.
Can everybody hear us and the caller? V cubed.
Sound check. Sound check.
Check 1 2 1 2.
It's
It may not be able.
Yep,
it's working.
Right,
yeah, Mary here, let us know. I just saw you posted something about an article in the New York Times. Did you call to talk about that?
Yeah, because that's the thing that never gets any play. Because, you know, we make so much money from war, babe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Washington, all right? We got Boeing, okay?
Ooh.
So you want to talk about trying to stop what's up in Yemen? No, it's not going to stop. Not while Washington, a deep blue state, is giving Boeing the biggest corporate tax break in history, which is a lot to say, right? So that they can, you know, keep on manufacturing, you know, fighter jets, drones, you know, bomb droppers.
Yeah.
So this is Dems, okay? You can't get my two female, you know, white female Democratic senators to do anything about war, anything about cutting a dollar. Those like 20-30 billion extra that they gave Trump for the Pentagon. You know, both of my Democratic senators voted for that. Most of them did. It was only like 8 who voted against it, and Bernie was one, and I think, you know, 2 independents, Rand Paul and Bernie, and 3 Dems and 3 Republicans. Now, what you gonna do with that? You can't do jack with that. It's nothing. The thing that keeps driving me crazy is everything we talk about that needs money. That's where the money is. You ain't never, ever. You could tax corporations and billionaires 99%, and it wouldn't touch when it's going to the Pentagon. Because not only is it that you can't, it has never been audited, okay? Because it's so FUBAR that you can't even audit the dang thing, right? No, seriously, I mean, it's really insane. You cannot trace expenditures. But the CIA budget is top secret. All those intelligence agencies, Homeland Security, Director of National Intelligence, all these new alphabets going on out there, on top of the FBI and them, those are all secret budgets. So between our spying and our, you know, outright killing and our profits from killing, we're never going to get a dang thing we want until they stop getting it. That's trillions, okay? And yeah, sure, it would be nice to get all the stuff Apple and everybody else is throwing into the Caymans and wherever, but it don't matter if it's all going to go to those people anyway. We're still not going to be the ones who get it. So I mean, sure. Yeah, let's fight about where the corporations and the rich pay their taxes, but what are they doing with them? They give it to these people.
Yeah.
So,
No
you
doubt.
know, and you know what it is? It's not the soldiers. It's not the veterans, God knows. It's not their families living on food stamps. And it's contractors and militias. Oh, holy cow! It's like it's totally normal now to, instead of having Marines protecting our diplomats, it's all it's all mercenaries. It's unbelievable, and they're from all over the world. It's not just Americans. You got mercenaries from all over the world guarding our diplomatic people, and our diplomats. Like, why does anybody think our State Department has what to do with diplomacy, when all it does is snitch for the CIA and even put its, embassy annex right next to a CIA headquarters in Libya, and then go, oh wow, I can't imagine why you got attacked.
Right, right.
Benghazi. So, I mean, we're not going to get anything until we stop that mess, and we have no anti-war movement. Help me, Jesus.
Yeah, and I think essentially that is the crux of, I guess, why we are in the situation we are in now, because of our investment in war, and like you said, Boeing in your state. And there's it's going to be hard to kind of I guess engage the world differently if those are our priorities. So yeah,
I know a whole bunch of people work for Boeing that I know. I mean, it's the same old trap everywhere. They purposely put a war profiteer in every congressional district so that people would fight for them as jobs. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I think, like you said, if you made a good point about, there's no anti-war movement, and if we do build a kind of a more robust and more active anti-war movement, seeing as that's what's driving this imperialism, I think we could probably put a dent in all this. But I'm gonna.
It drives everything. It drives the poverty. It drives everything. It's what Martin said. He says you ain't never gonna get rid of racism and poverty as long as you're in a militarist society.
Right.
And as long as there's that kind of thing going on, nothing really changes except around the edges. And the culture is making other people enemies all the time, because that's where the jobs are. And like, I have this really crazy fantasy of taking the whole Boeing plant and converting it to do like wind turbines and solar panels and all kinds of cool shit, and electric cars, and all old people getting electric golf cart to cruise everywhere and do everything they got to do. Woohoo! I mean, I have fantasies, like I said, but we don't do anything logical like that people need. And we just keep letting them hold us over our heads. These are the only jobs left.
And like you said, it doesn't matter if it's a Democratic administration. It doesn't matter if it's a Republican administration. It doesn't matter if it's Republican politicians, Democratic politicians. They all support the military-industrial complex.
But there's one difference. Only one difference. And that's that we got more contracts here in Washington under Democrats because it's union, and Trump just sold a whole bunch of little private jets from Boeing in South Carolina because they ain't got no union. Okay? Yeah. So that's the only difference. And it's pretty damn token for what it's worth, because even when this state gave Boeing that big humongous tax break, that's what they were supposed to do, is keep jobs here. In the next week, I saw a brother come around in our town going, yeah, I'm on my way to South Carolina, my job got nixed, and that's where the same job is for about $15 less an hour. You see what I'm saying? So they're like, the only thing they do is move it from union to non-union, and but either way they make people totally dependent on them.
Yeah.
And and all of that is subsidized by your state. So we're in all this national focus and obsession, because that's what cable news does and all these other people. It's your states that decide stuff like this. If your state says, I don't want to be dependent on military contractors, that's the only way it changes. But we do naval shipyard, we build and renovate their ships. We have their nuclear submarines at Bangor Base. We have Boeing. I mean, and this is not unusual. California has more military contractor gigs than any state in the country, and that's who's the bluest state in the country. So, like, I wish we would focus state by state on that and change our state legislators, because this is, you know, that if we don't end the dependency, you're not going to tell people give up your job and get nothing to replace it.
Right.
It doesn't work. That's what the whole lot of trouble was for the environmental movement. It's not that it didn't make sense. It's that people had the pipeline jobs and the oil rig jobs and the drilling jobs and the trucking, transporting all the crap. Look at that dude running to beat Paul Ryan. He's for pipelines. He's a union dude, and he's a pipe fitter, and he's for pipelines, including Bernie and our revolution, and I think just as Democrats backed him. And he is for the pipelines, oil and fracking pipelines, because that is his business. And they did not even look at the white chick who's a teacher and is an environmentalist. They didn't even look at her, because this dude's got this like catchy thing. What does he call himself? Mustache somebody or whatever. I don't remember what the hell he calls himself. It's something ridiculous that makes him look real macho union dude. And yeah, macho union dude who wants pipelines. That's who all of them, including our revolution and Justice Democrats, are throwing all their weight behind to beat Paul Ryan. That's why I don't get excited with these oh yeah, Democrats gonna win. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because you recognize that kind of they are a part of this establishment, and they continue. Yeah, so but yeah, we really appreciate you calling, because you always have a lot of insight and experience. And we're going to bid you a farewell and thank you as well, and we hope you join us. You do.
We have another blackout.
Thank you, and we hope that you join us on our next live broadcast. All right.
Good luck to you guys. Be safe out there. Take care.
Thank you. You have a good night.
Have a good weekend too. Yeah, some more insight from V Cubed.
Yes, that's V Cubed.
Yeah, stay on point. Yeah, Terror Break was helping us out. Thank you. Appreciate that. Shout out. Yeah, we did have the volume a little bit low. Hope you could hear the beginning of it until we had fixed it.
At least we know for next time, though, where the adjustment. Obviously, at the beginning, we're not going to have it all the way up.
Right.
It was halfway up. We thought that would be too loud. Yeah. So
I think we had it lower because the last time we played
the video.
Yeah, sometimes they're too loud, and we adjust the volume. But at least that was a easy fix. At least that was an easy fix, man. But yeah. Any news, any breaking news or anything like that? I want to hear some more about this leaked, this pipeline that leaked, though. There wasn't a lot of information that came out before we started the show, but I want to hear some more information, where exactly it happened, what they say was the cause, Doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter.
It
happened.
It happened. Exactly. Like, how do you... especially if we're talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline, it's like you're saying that this thing is so safe, pipelines rarely bust, it's not going to be a problem. But we all know too well that pipelines bust all the time, and you cannot predict where they bust. So who's to say it's not going to bust underneath that river, that water source? It's crazy that you would actually do that. That's man. Like you said, you've been saying callous today. It's just it's a reprehensible. It's immoral, man. It's all in the name of money, man.
Yeah, all in the name of money. And when essentially that's your end goal, it's easy for you to disregard human life and people.
Certain human life.
Asterisk correction.
Yeah. Asterisk. Certain human life. Yeah, you place some life above others. Obviously, the lives in Bismarck meant more to you.
Obviously.
Didn't take that much pushback to get it rerouted, did it?
Nope, almost no pushback.
Almost none.
It was just like, no, shake a head and that's it.
Yeah. Like, hell no, you ain't gonna put it here. Okay. Alright, we'll find somewhere else. But all right, I think we're gonna get out of here, and we're going to be heading to Facebook for a little bit, for the after show, where we might have a few other things to talk about, not about what we talked about on the show, because we're gonna keep that just for the audience that tuned into the live show. But you know, we always have something to say. People ask questions. People, you know,
it's more random.
Yeah, it's very random.
It's more. It's like it's random conversation generators. You just never know where it's gonna go.
No,
there's no.
We've been taken in all kinds of different directions. On the after show.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're not busy, join us. I'll put the address in the chat, because believe it or not, some people are not on Facebook.
Oh, I know.
You know,
I can understand why.
Man, I didn't get on Facebook until 2010.
Yo, I had a friend. I was, let's say, strong-armed. I was strong-armed into Facebook. This mug said, if you don't make a profile, I'll make one for you.
That's what happened to me. My sister did that, man. Wow. She got me on Facebook. I'm like, man, I don't want to be on Facebook. Yeah, and then when I got on there, like almost immediately I reconnected with classmates in Brooklyn.
Like
elementary school, and I was like, oh damn, this is what's up now. I can't leave this. I haven't talked to these cats in what, 2 decades or so. But yeah. Anyway, see Mary Hill, she said I got out of Facebook. Yeah. It's a good thing, but yeah, man, sometimes it's
exhausting.
Yeah, very. And come on, man. Sometimes it's just it's annoying. Sometimes it's very annoying. Very annoying. You gotta watch who you're following. You gotta watch the who you're following first. What's coming in your feed first. If you're not prepared for that, you're gonna see some real stupid stuff, man. Some ridiculous stuff. Some conspiracy theory drivel nonsense.
And you see a lot of pointless arguments that don't matter, don't go anywhere. I'm like,
yeah, just whatever. But we got to be on there, you know. We got to be on there just to be informed of what people are saying out there.
A lot of times I don't know what's going on until I get on Facebook and I see my feed is just like inundated with like information and updates and, you know what I'm saying, like things that are happening in real time. That's why I had to kind of tailor my feed.
Oh yeah,
I had to tailor mine, like block that, block these people, that block that. See all these people first, see all these organizations and these groups first. Yeah. Sometimes that's how I get, where I need to go, what directions I need to go, and what stories I need to cover. I'm like, what? Oh snap! Let me look into that. I didn't know that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So.
But all right, we'll get out of here. Hope everybody enjoys the weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday, which would be what, the 21st?
Today's the 16th?
Yeah.
20th?
20th, is it? Yeah, it might be the 20th.
Yeah.
No, 21st.
21st.
Okay. Yeah. And then after that will be Thanksgiving, and it'll be a really long time before we get back. A whole week. But let's see. What? Somebody said, by the way, Mike, your brother is doppelganger without the braids. Do you understand that?
Apparently I have a twin that doesn't have braids.
But who?
I don't know. So he says my brother is your doppelganger. So he has a brother. So
my brother.
Yeah,
okay, I didn't. Yeah,
you thought you said Mike. Yeah. You thought you said Mike, my brother.
Yeah.
So I had to ignore there was no punctuation there. I just had to kind of interpret that. But yeah, so he says his brother is.
Gotcha.
Me without the braids. You know, it's so funny. Like I have friends who would like go travel and stuff. They'll go to like California. They'll go to like DC or Chicago or Detroit, somewhere. And they'd be like, man, I could have swore it was you.
Yeah,
we went to the club. Too, it was like, and they were like, and I was like, he's like, he didn't just look like you. He even like moved like you. I was like, what? I was like, dang, that's crazy, man.
That is crazy. There's that segment on ESPN with what's his name? Stan Van Pelt.
Van Pelt.
Yeah, Van Pelt, and he has that like people take pictures of of like people that look like him all around, and they send it to his Twitter handle, pictures of the picture of the people that take a picture of. It's always like something, of course, a dude with a bald head, you know, to the side or to the back or something like that. Some of them look exactly like that dude, man. But I guess if you got a bald head, it's kind of easy.
It's kind of easier.
Yeah, you just gotta find a pale skinned bald head dude
with the same
glasses.
same shape face.
Yeah, that's not too hard. All right, yeah, we're gonna get out of here. If you want to join the after show on Facebook, please do so, and we'll see you there. If not, thank you everybody that joined into the program. We love the input, we love your activity in the feed, in the chat, and we love the calls. We want more of them. We can't just have VQ calling and that's it. I mean, we like talking to VQ, but we got to have some more callers as well. You know, even if you disagree with us, call us and let us know so we can have a little debate about it. But yeah, good night everybody, and we will see you on Tuesday. This has been another edition of Let the Madness Begin, LTMB Live, with your host Will Gaillard.
I'm Mike White.
We'll see you next time.